Good evening. A senior surgeon at a very prestigious hospital near the Mamoon cantonment in Pathankot has been taken into custody for his alleged links with the Delhi bombers. There are a series of raids and searches that are on even as we speak. So the information that we have right now is a doctor called Jaish-e-Mohammad, working as a senior surgeon at a prestigious hospital, is currently under investigation. The police are probing some of his alleged conversations and links with Dr. Muzammil and Dr. Muhammad Umar at the Al-Falah Hospital. That's the information that's coming in. Incidentally, there are some other doctors with links to the Al-Falah University in Faridabad who have either switched off their mobile phones or are no longer at their homes or offices. Police believe they've gone missing. They're untraceable. Their mobiles are switched off. They're not at home. They're not at work. Now, are these either sleeper cells or part of a module who've gone underground moments these raids and searches started? The police have reached out to them. In fact, through friends and family, they're being asked to join investigations. Searches and raids are being carried out across multiple cities, and this clearly is a race against time. Late last night, there was a massive explosion at the Nowgam police station in Kashmir, killing 9 officials and injuring over 27. The Nowgam police station, incidentally, was the first to unmask the white-collar terror module of doctors. It was excellent investigations by the Nowgam police. Were they targeted, or was it a case of an accidental explosion, as Nalin Prabhat, the Director General of Jammu Kashmir Police, insisted earlier today? Prima facie, according to the Jammu and Kashmir Police, it appears to be a case of an accidental explosion. Forensic teams were examining samples of explosives confiscated at the behest of Dr. Muzammil Ganai in Faridabad. However, a front of a radical Islamist terrorist organization, a Pakistan-based terrorist group, Jaish-e-Mohammad, a front for it has claimed responsibility for this blast at the Nowgam police station. Now, the blast was huge. It could be seen over several kilometers away, and sadly 9 people have lost their lives, 27 are injured, and some, including police personnel, are critical. An investigation has been ordered. But are there other terror modules that are still out there? We'll talk about that in greater detail. We'll get to the latest in investigations. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Let's begin with this ground report on the current investigations and the fast-paced investigations that are being carried out in this race against time.
5 days after the blast that shook the capital, the probe has only intensified. CCTV footage spotting Red Fort bomber Dr. Umar Nabi has been exclusively accessed by India Today. The footage shows Dr. Umar Nabi sitting at a mobile shop in Faridabad after he escaped from the Al-Falah University. He was carrying 2 cell phones and a black bag at the mobile shop. Meanwhile, a spree of arrests have revealed how deep the network of white-collar terror module is in the nation. A 45-year-old surgeon was arrested from Pathankot. Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammad Bhatt was allegedly in touch with Delhi bomber Dr. Umar Nabi. Dr. Jaish worked at Faridabad's Al-Falah University from 2020 to 2021. Dr. Mushtaqim, who also graduated from the Al-Falah University, was detained from Noor. Another MBBS student was also detained from Haryana's Dhauj.
दिल्ली में जो बम ब्लास्ट हुए हैं उसमें इंक्वायरी में जो उनका नाम आ रहा है, और इंक्वायरी में नाम आने के बावजूद उनको सीबीआई जांच के लिए जो है उनसे पूछताछ के लिए उनको लेके गई है। बाकी जो है हमारा पूरा परिवार और गांव मोहल्ले में उनकी जो छवि बहुत बढ़िया है।
After this, the Delhi police raided Al-Falah University headquarters located in the Okhla area of the national capital. The NIA team thoroughly scanned all CCTVs in the Wazirpur area of Delhi and questioned the tea stall owner where the bomber had visited.
ये पूछे कि हाँ ये कैमरे मारे बंदा कौन है, तो हम जब जानते ही नहीं तो हम क्या बताते हैं। मैं नहीं मार्क्स में था, आज मान लीजिए यहाँ पर 4 आदमी खड़े हैं, 4 आदमी कोई आया और 2 आदमी कस्टमर चाय पिया, 2 नहीं पिया, तो हम उसके तर्क तो कर नहीं सकते हैं।
Meanwhile, another layer is emerged in the Faridabad Jaish module. accused Dr. Shaheen, who was arrested on the 11th of November, was using a SIM card registered on a fake address. The blast near the Red Fort came on a day a huge cache of arms and ammunition, including 2,900 kilograms of IED making material, were recovered from the rented premises of Dr. Muzammil Shakil, who worked at the Al-Falah University. With several of Al-Falah doctors being arrested and the staff questioned in recent days, the Enforcement Directorate has started a probe into the university's funding as well. With Himanshu Mishra and Arvind Hoja, Bureau Report, India Today.
I quickly want to bring in India Today's Shreya Chatterjee for the latest in investigations. Shreya, give us details of this Dr. Rais Ahmed Bhatt, a senior surgeon at a very prestigious medical college. Mamoon Cantonment, Pathankot is India's largest military base, the Mamoon Cantonment. If doctors in and around this area are also under the scanner. So one, who is Dr. Bhatt? What is his alleged link? How is he linked to Dr. Umar Mohammed? How is he linked to Dr. Muzammil? What more do we know?
Well, they are all being suspected, Gaurav, as a part of the same module. They were part of this entire terror operation on the kind of things that they were arranging, be it the explosives, be it arranging for the cars and then planting into the IDs, because the plans that are coming in are extremely scary right now. And what we do understand that there are more doctors, Gaurav, because we've been talking from day one that there's a notebook that these investigators have also got from that room number 13 and room number 20 of the Al-Falah University. From those rooms, these names of the doctors had surfaced one by one. And when we talk about these doctors, they are right now being detained subsequently on the basis of the proof that they're getting on the dump data of the mobile phones that Umar was using. Because now the cell and the NIA, they have the number that Umar was using for calling, because we have the CCTV that shows that he has two phones. Now, based on that, the our agencies are actually zooming in on those individuals he was in touch with. Based on that, Gaurav, we are seeing these fresh detentions and arrests being made.
Stay with me for a moment because this is very alarming. There are doctors who are missing. Where are these missing doctors? Are they all linked to Al-Falah University? How many from Jammu and Kashmir? Apparently, there are doctors who've been taken into custody from Uttar Pradesh. There are doctors who've been taken into custody from Hyderabad and Gujarat. And I'm told now, Shreya, there is a link, there is a direct link between doctors who are making these toxins, that Dr. Moyuddin is also linked to the Al-Falah University module. How are both the doctors or both the modules linked? Is there more clarity on that?
Well, the reason that, Gaurav, we are understanding these arrests are being made are totally on technical data. It's about how and when these people were contacted, what were the kind of communication that was established with Muzammil and Dr. Umar Nabi. Muzammil is already in the custody. He's been questioned for more than a week right now, and NIA has also taken his custody. So based on that, these doctors are being arrested. We are being told that the NIA team also visited the state of West Bengal. There was some doctors linked that also surfaced from the state of West Bengal, and there also questioning is under its way. What we do know that this doctor module is not just limited to the Delhi NCR region or Kashmir. There are doctors who have been past graduates of Al-Falah University. Their names are now surfacing as being the part of the terror module. How and when they helped, those are the pieces that the investigators are right now zooming in on. And as we talk, Gaurav, more trouble is mounting on the Al-Falah University, which is also becoming the point of the entire investigation so far as this terror blast is concerned.
Stay with me, Shreya. I'll come back to you with the latest investigation. I'm told there are two doctors who've also been detained from Mewat region, from Nu. There's a fertilizer shop or a fertilizer godown owner who's also been held for questioning, because why was a very large quantity of ammonium nitrate provided to these doctors without a license? They are not permitted to acquire this, and yet they did. Was this on the basis of some personal contact, money, religion? any other thing that united this group? That's a big question. Before I bring in our guests on this broadcast, I want to take you through this entire list of doctors who've been taken into custody. Some of these, of course, we know right now have been arrested. Some have been called in for questioning. Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammad Bhatt, for example, he was in touch with the Red Fort bomber. He's been taken into custody. Let me tell you a little more about these medics of mayhem. From Pathankot in Punjab, Dr. Jaish-e-Mohammad Bhatt was taken into custody. Let me now take you to New in Haryana. Dr. Mustaqim has been detained, apparently very closely linked with Dr. Umar Nabi. Multiple phone calls, lots of WhatsApp exchanges, some details that had been deleted apparently on the phone calls, on the handsets of some of these doctors. From Dhoj in Haryana, Dr. Mohammad has also been detained. Now, Dr. Mohammad is a young MBBS student or graduate, we are told, at the Al-Falah University. Now, let's move from Haryana to Hapur in Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Farooq has also been called in for questioning. Dr. Farooq is allegedly linked to Dr. Shaheen Shahid. Dr. Shaheen Shahid, remember, is one of the MBBS toppers, also done her master's degree in medicine, has a house in Lucknow. Her own brother is also Dr. Ansari, is also Dr. Parvez Ansari is under the scanner, taken into custody earlier. Her vehicle was used for this blast, for transporting of for the explosives, and an assault rifle was recovered from a vehicle registered in her name. Then from Kanpur in Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Arif was taken into custody, detained for his links with Dr. Shaheen Shahid. Now let me take you to Jammu and Kashmir. From Srinagar, Dr. Tajammul Malik was called in for questioning in connection with alleged links with Dr. Umar Mohammad. Let me now bring you to Faridabad. Dr. Shaheen Shahid, she was taken into custody. Apparently, the women's wing of this radical Islamist organization, Jaish-e-Mohammad, she was to head the women's wing in India. Dr. Parvez Ansari was detained. He's Dr. Shaheen Shahid's brother. Then, naturally, the one man who escaped was Dr. Muhammad Umar. The moment he realized that some of his close confidants had been taken into custody, he fled the hospital, sadly with an explosive-laden vehicle, and carried out that terror attack in very close to the Red Fort. Now, let me take you to the other aspect which is under investigation, the link. Some of these doctors, incidentally, had studied in China. That's the information that's coming in, including a certain Dr. Syed, Dr. Moinuddin Ahmad Syed, arrested for his links, exploring ways to weaponize Ryzen. He studied at China, so did Dr. Muhammad from Nu, who's been taken into custody, and there are some exchanges that the police are currently investigating. Dr. Adil Ahmad Rathar was amongst the first to be taken into custody for his links, not just with the Jaish-e-Mohammad, but also with Ansar Ghazwatul Hind. And of course, Dr. Muzammil Shakil, arrested, and at his behest, close to 2,900 kilograms of explosives were recovered. This just is, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, the tip of the iceberg. This is not the entire module. There were 25 names on that list that was recovered from room number 13 of the Al-Falah University, and some papers that were recovered from that rented accommodation. The question we're asking on the special broadcast is, how widespread are the tentacles of this terror doctor modules? How widespread are these tentacles spread? Is India sitting on a ticking time bomb? Police are saying that some doctors have apparently either switched off their mobile phones, or their mobile phones are not reachable, and these doctors are untraced. Now, should these doctors come forward and join investigations because of their alleged links with Dr. Muzammil, with Dr. Adil, with Dr. Umar Muhammad, Dr. Umar, we are still waiting for more clarity. And the bigger questions, how does one de-radicalize highly educated medical professionals or engineers or others who masquerade, who are amongst us morning, noon, and night, but maybe moonlighting as terrorists. In Kashmir, there was this concept of hybrid terrorists. But are these those hybrid terrorists, or they have now gone across to being full-time terrorists only, masquerading as doctors? These are some of the questions we're seeking answers to. Joining me on this India First special broadcast are Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, former Kashmir Corps commander. He's worked very extensively on bringing youth back into the mainstream. Also with me is Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director of India's Intelligence Bureau. Zeenat Shaukat Ali is the Founder Director General of the World Institute of Islamic Studies for Peace and Dialogue. Dr. Tara Kartha is former Director of India's National Security Council Secretariat. And General Hasnain, Mamoon Cantonment, sir, in Pathankot is one of the biggest military bases in the country. An Al-Falah hospital-linked doctor working as a senior surgeon in Pathankot, taken into custody, was at Al-Falah hospital, is considered to be close to this network of doctors. What would you deduct from some of these arrests and detentions in searches and raids that are going on nationwide at this point of time?
Gaurav, thank you. Firstly, let me start by saying I completely concur with you. What you are looking at is just the tip of the iceberg. As we go along, there's going to be much more which will get revealed. I mean, I say this from the angle that at the moment you're looking at northern India, and in northern India, primarily Delhi, the Mewat area, you're looking at Pathankot and Jammu and Kashmir. I would say this issue will probably go deep south. You must remember that in 2019, you had terror blasts which took place in Sri Lanka on the Easter Day bombings, which were all linked to a huge module somewhere in southern India. We have not forgotten the history of bombings which have taken place in Maharashtra, in central India. So this is a nationwide thing. Now, at the moment, it is centered because of what's happened in Delhi and because of the revelations starting from the posters at the Jama Masjid. Obviously, this whole thing is focused on J&K and Delhi. As to your question on Mamoon, that's an important, well, at the moment, I may not be able to confirm what exactly that would mean. But Mamoon is a very important place. You see, Mamoon is close to Kathua also, just remember. Yes. And this is the general area in which a lot of infiltration has been going on for the better part of the last 1-2 years. All the infiltration routes in Kashmir have been broadly under control. This is the area where closer to Punjab where more and more infiltration routes have opened up. So if there are modules in which people are actually under control by going across and coming back, this is the place possibly where the focus needs to be. But as we go along, I'm sure much more is going to be revealed.
Okay. Dr. Tara Kartha, your take on these arrests and the police, and this is, of course, at the level of sources right now, saying some doctors have switched off their mobile phones, or, their mobile phones are not reachable. They're neither at home nor at their workplaces. They're still trying to reach out to these doctors. Does that immediately raise a red flag? Because if doctors have been in touch with these elements, would they join investigation? Should they join investigation? Or you find nothing suspicious in this?
See, if they had nothing to hide, they would not be switching off their mobiles and hiding, sort of moving out. They would come out and say, yeah, we know this guy, he did this, X, Y, Z. It's not that the whole entire Al-Falah University is under suspicion. They could have come forward. If they put it off, obviously there is a link. This is, though I entirely agree, as usual, with General Hasnain, but this is a far larger module than I have come across before. This is a very unusual one, with, like we said, with doctors. And the sheer geographical, we are going from Nu. By the way, Nu, I've always said I said this last, I think on your show, there are areas which are no-go areas for police. There are concentrated criminal activity. You always see, not always, most of the time, you see a criminal and terrorist activity going together. So I think going forward, we need to look at these areas which have been prone. You remember 23, what happened in Nu? where
Yes.
they attacked for them. It's a terrible place. It's got all sorts of characters in it. So there's no wonder that they're able to get fertilizer also from that area, which is otherwise, like you said, is difficult to get hold of. The
You know,
thing
this is an area where cattle smuggling is
yes,
rampant. It's the headquarters virtually of illegal cattle smuggling. It's the headquarters now. We're told of various criminal gangs that operate in Haryana and in Rajasthan. They carry out a crime and then come back into the protection of Nu. Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, this would be very alarming because for the security forces, for the police, and not just the state police, now the National Investigation Agency, others, they should just crack down on these elements, because the distinction or the difference that swing from illegal cattle smuggling to crimes to terror, it's just a very gradual process. It's almost 50 shades of crime and terror, sir.
Well, it's true. Nu has come in the limelight for a number of reasons. In fact, the cyber crimes of Jamtara, the famous Jamtara, had actually shifted to Nu later, and there was a great recovery and seizure done by the local police. However, the target here is the Al-Falah. And, remember, Gaurav, we were discussing this issue the other day, that why are the others but just kept quiet? Because this module was developing for 2 years. These two rooms were the centers of activity, and besides, there was frantic activity, as you're saying, because the doctors are going, changing cars, bringing in ammonium nitrate. It's not possible that nobody, saw it. Nobody saw it at the gate. Nobody saw it anywhere. So obviously they were not speaking. Now, if they were not speaking, either it is because of fear or because of complicity or because of silent kind of, commission that, yes, we know about it, but we sort of want to. Remember that the radicalized, educated lot thinks that it is more evolved, it is a more evolved Islamic kind of a value-led life they are living. So I think there is a lot to be found in it, and I'm glad that the security forces or the government is looking into that particular university. Now, the other very, very dangerous link which you have pointed out, and I just hope they are not linked together, is the Ricin plot and this one. Because the Ricin had some even more dangerous, plans. And the plans were to mix, this Ricin with the Mandir Prasad. And you can imagine what result it would have been, because Ricin does not have an antidote. It just kills you. And
Yes.
something of this kind was used in London, I think 2011 or something like that. Now, but the problem is that in this particular case, the way, because of the technical investigation, has revealed so many links that this is, horrifying. I think this is one of the most frightful modules that one has come across. And as you said, the important point is the race against time means that those people who have been named in a notebook, unless they are sort of, caught early and interrogated to find out what exactly they were performing as a part of the action plan which was given by the
Okay.
Turkey.
Should their names be put out in public domain? As of now, we know some names, but we are not putting them out because the police are not putting them out. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, should these names be put out in public domain for them to come forward, join investigations, or the police are trying to reach out to them? They may be untraced for now. Their phones may be unreachable for now. Their parents, their relatives, their kin, their friends should reach out to them and tell them to join investigations, because I would find this very alarming. I'm sure so would you, that by day they're treating people and by night they're plotting to kill them.
I think you're quite right. It's a horrifying and absolutely deplorable acts that are taking place. And yes, they should volunteer. The name should be put up, and people also should be given to understand that we appreciate their coming forward. And we appreciate that they come forward and they give us and lead us to the truth. Because you see what happens, because of a small, minuscule amount, a handful of bad doctors or bad people who are in education gives the entire it comes like a blanket. It should not come as a blanket for the whole community. You see, this is another fear that exists, and people are afraid to some extent, and they could be complicit, as it has been pointed out. or they could be, conniving. But the point is this, that those people who can help and whose names are implicated should be contacted, should be put up, and they should come forward, and give all information, because innocent people are being killed. And it is also very unfortunate, if you give me a minute, to say that, this is, yesterday we were discussing this 2 days ago, that in the name of religion, you see, when we are talking about these Muslim names, we are talking about a deemed university, whose coordination fund movements, whose progressive uh, and guides in cases and indoctrination of such people is an extremely dangerous and very un-Islamic. Please let me tell you, it is extremely un-Islamic, simply because I'm quoting to you now what the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, has said, that he who knowingly lends support to tyranny is outside the pale of Islam. This is Tabarani. And the worst form of tyranny is to support one's community in tyranny. You see, so you cannot support just because somebody from your community is doing something wrong, yet you support it. This is Baihaqi. And the other one that I'm going to quote is also from Baihaqi, which says that he who accompanies a wicked man in order to help him in his wicked ways and designs, knowing of his designs, ceases to be a believer. So you see,
And
these
yet
are
this
very
is happening. So, it's just that what you tell us is very different from perhaps what that Maulvi Irfan told these doctors. And somehow, General Hasnain, that Maulvi Irfan seems to have persuaded a large number, or at least a number of these doctors who've now been taken into custody, or some may be at large. Sir, you've served in the Kashmir Valley. We've seen waves of violence and peace, and then violence and peace and terror and peace in the Kashmir Valley. Who knows that better than you? But under the radar, is that radicalization and indoctrination constantly happening? And is India, the entire country, and the community itself not doing enough to de-radicalize these elements?
See, Gaurav, it is an obvious thing that your adversaries will always work in different domains. One may be the use of terror modules, and one may be in the cyber domain, in the technical domain, and one is going to be always working on the ideological domain. Right from the 70s, this has been the Zia doctrine, work on the ideological part, make sure that cultivate enough people, cultivate networks. The term network is only emerging on our channels today. Everyone was only talking about terrorism so far. Now at last people are talking about networks and realizing that it is networks which support terrorism. And radicalism is something which is ongoing at all times. The way you can overcome it is your narrative of counter-radicalism has to be stronger than that of radicalism. What I
But sir,
tried in Jammu and Kashmir...
Are we too weak, too politically correct? I want to understand from you, why is it either it's not happening or it's not effective? Why would a Dr. Muzammil or a Dr. Adil or a Dr. Muhammad Umar or Dr. Shaheen, she's from Uttar Pradesh, or Dr. Ansari, they have the best of this country. They're getting the best. They're doctors. They're doing so well. They're MBBS doctors. Why are they getting radicalized in your appreciation, sir?
Gaurav, this is oversimplification of the problem. As I told you, the adversary is focused, the adversary is strong, it's been doing it for far long. We are entering into this aspect of counter-radicalization right at the early stages now. The realization is coming. I would ask any fellow panelists, how many people do you know from different communities who are at all involved with or are aware of various tenets of Islam? Hardly anyone at all. Right? So what happens is that when you speak to people, you don't even understand them, you don't recognize them, and they continue to function in this manner, cultivated from all kinds of ideological propaganda which keeps coming from abroad. My strongest recommendation is you have to find a moderate clergy, and there are lots and lots of them in India, who have to come forward, and they are the ones who have to preach the better aspects of Islam to all these people. The problem is that the negative aspects of Islam are actually proliferating in this environment, and that is what is adding to the problem.
Dr. Azad, is that also, Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, is that also your appreciation that, you know, everyone's being so politically correct, you brush it under the carpet? Yes, there's a problem. Let's just deal with the armed terrorist once he's arrested, either after the, terrorist activity has happened or just before it is to happen. And then nobody touches that madrasa where it's happened because, oh my God, people will feel bad. Nobody touches that Maulvi, oh my God, he will feel bad. Is it time to go after these elements at these places and then deal with it at multiple levels? And are we doing it or we are not doing it?
Well, that is a problem which is partial. If you see, radicalization all over the world is happening. And if you see that couple which was there in the USA in the San Bernardino attack, 2015, they were very well cultural, socially, and the FBI was shocked that how could people of this caliber be radicalized. This has happened in other parts. 9/11 had the topmost software engineers, pilots, etc. In France, you have people being radicalized. In India, I feel one is, of course, the sources of indoctrination, wherever the radicalization elements are there, as you rightly said, Maulvis, etc. I agree with General Hasnain when you must use the moderate clergy for it. But radicalization de-radicalization cannot be left only to the police or the intelligence agencies. I'll give you a very simple example. Our chief ministers, they must now engage with the educated middle class. They should engage with the educated youth and not only do everything for the voters. And a very important part of this element is that no one should feel aloof that he's not a part of the state. I mean, that is where the de-radicalization begins. And that is why when you strengthen the democracy, when you strengthen the voices of the people, it is a very, very advantageous in the interest of the nation.
But these elements anyway have the best of our society. I fail to understand why would those who are at the center, I mean, doctors, Dr. Tara Kartha, are second only to God in our country. Nobody looks at their religion. They just look at them as healers. But, these healers are actually merchant. If there is evidence against all of them, then they're truly merchants of death masquerading as healers. And why should they feel aloof? They have no reason to feel aloof unless they are being misled. And, my only appreciation is that these elements must be dealt with with the strongest possible, action against them as per law, so that it serves as a deterrent, and two, the Maulvis who are indoctrinating them should perhaps be dealt with even more harshly, Dr. Tara Kartha, or that enabling environment.
I 100% agree with you. The strongest, I mean, what the Home Minister has said, I absolutely back. You need to give the strongest possible punishment to these people. I just want to make one small differentiation from what I was told. The Maulvi was used by Muzammil to get the radicalization ring going. So he was a sort of a counter in this whole game. That is one. Number two is, I will agree with you that there is a responsibility among our religious leaders to sort of talk to people and tell them what the religion is all about. It's, after all, it's a very, very fine religion in its own standing. I mean, why can't there are different variations, right? If I want to show something, I want to preach something as being terrible, which you also see in a lot of other, you've got Christian fundamentalism, you've got Hindu fundamentalism at various points. It's how you present it. And number three, your point about education, I want to say this very clearly. It is the educated who are most prone to radicalization.
And there's a long history. There's a long. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the number two of Al-Qaeda, was a medical doctor. Osama bin Laden himself was an engineer by profession. And somewhere down the line, Zinat Shaukat Ali, is it the failure of the community or the country to isolate these elements, to call out these elements, to take stern action against these elements? Because clearly they cannot be cocooned. They cannot be treated with kid gloves. The more you do that, the more you'll encourage such elements.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. As a person who teaches the subject and who's supposed to be a professor of Islamic studies, I am quite shocked that we should have these kind of people who teach this reverse kind of understanding. And what I was telling you at our last show was that when they you see there are certain traditions like a prayer session. So when the imams are delivering that session on a Friday, that that lecture should be written out, scanned, looked into, and then delivered. You see, so that
Yes.
every element of that speaks of the Islamic values of peace, of bridge building, of non-violence, of understanding. I've got a whole book on this, which has now been translated in English, which is called Winning the Peace Quest. It has been translated by the NCPUL in Delhi into Urdu for the
Okay.
simple reason that there are ulama who have written on non-violence, they have condemned suicide bombings, they have condemned violence, and they have quoted the verses. And when I went to request them to write this, they said that,
No,
madam,
Saudi Arabia, where the religion originated, is de-radicalizing elements. Saudi Arabia is de-radicalizing elements. Saudi Arabia is looking at the moderate form. It's happening across the GCC countries. It's happening in the UAE. It's happening in Saudi Arabia. But here in South Asia, they seem to be getting more radicalized now. I mean, how can one be more pious than the Pope? One fails to understand. But I'll come to that aspect in just a moment, because now I want to switch focus. And General Hasnain and Mr. Azad, stay with me on this, and Dr. Tara Karta and Zinat Shaukat Ali. This is that explosion that took place at the Nowgam police station. This is very, very worrisome. A major explosion. There's a huge explosion at 20 minutes past 11 last night at the Nowgam police station. Now, Nowgam on the outskirts of Srinagar. It's the Nowgam police, and there was brilliant beat police work by the Nowgam police that this module was busted. You know how? Because the police personnel at this police station, they spotted some of these elements putting Jaish-e-Mohammad posters. They were seen on CCTV cameras. They were identified. They were called in for questioning. They were interrogated, 3 of them initially. Once they were interrogated on arrest, it led to the arrest of that Maulvi Irfan. Maulvi Irfan was the person of the Nowgam Masjid who was radicalizing these youngsters. He incidentally was also the paramedic of the Government Medical College in Srinagar. Once he was questioned and documents were searched, a list of doctors emerged, including Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Adil, Dr. Muhammad Umar. This is where the Jammu and Kashmir police and the Haryana police started conducting a series of searches and raids, and others were taken into custody. Sadly, that Dr. Muhammad Umar escaped and that blast took place. But that wider module, information came in through the Nowgam police, and last night there was a massive blast at the Nowgam police station. Now, Nalin Prabhat, the Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, he said it's an accidental explosion. Certain samples were being collected for forensic examination, and that is where there was accidental discharge of these explosives. Unfortunately, 9 people lost their lives, 27 plus are injured. We get you more in this report.
4 days after Delhi's Red Fort blast, Srinagar was rocked by a powerful explosion. On the outskirts of Srinagar, at the Nowgam police station, a massive explosion ripped through the compound at 11:22 p.m. on Friday, turning a forensic operation into a devastating tragedy.
Sources say that the explosives that were recovered in Faridabad, they were handed over to the Jammu and Kashmir police. Some explosives also from UP, and they were brought in because the protocol says that the police station, which had the first FIR, which is investigating it, the explosives should come there. And it seems sampling and they were checking these explosives when they went off.
Several people lost their lives, with many more being injured, mostly police personnel and forensic experts. Among the dead, an SIA inspector, 3 FSL experts, 2 crime branch photographers, 2 revenue department officials, and a civilian tailor who was present at the station. The Jammu Kashmir DGP and the Ministry of Home Affairs have ruled out any terror angle, calling it a tragic accidental explosion.
The handling was being done with extreme caution, with utmost caution by the FSL team. However, unfortunately, during this course, last night around 11:20 p.m., an accidental explosion has taken place.
14 नवंबर 2025 यानी कि कल रात को लगभग 11:20 बजे अचानक एक्सीडेंटल विस्फोट हुआ। इस दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना में 9 लोगों की मृत्यु हो गई और 27 पुलिसकर्मी, 2 राजस्व अधिकारी और 3 नागरिक घायल हुए।
The volatile material had been recovered from Faridabad, linked to arrested Dr. Muzammil, part of a massive 360 kg cache stored at the station as evidence.
This was the impact of the blast. It was so strong that it also damaged the buildings nearby. There are houses in the vicinity of this police station, the Nowgam police station, and you see how the whole area has been now evacuated. People have been injured. More than 27 people are injured as per the police. There are civilians also injured. And you see more buildings, impact on more buildings is visible. So the police station has been damaged, destroyed. 9 lives have been lost. More than 27 people have been injured. There are certain people who are still missing.
A terror case is evidence becoming a disaster of its own. As the nation now mourns the lives lost, a wreath-laying ceremony was held in Srinagar. With Mir Farid and Shivani Sharma in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to bring in India Today's Mir Farid, who joins us with the latest on this investigation. Mir, you've spoken to the DGP, you've spoken to your sources in the police. Was the handling of the explosives, and Jammu and Kashmir police has tremendous experience. What went wrong? Prima facie, what transpired? We've unfortunately had 9 fatalities and close to 32 injuries.
Well, Gaurav, more than us, it's the Jammu and Kashmir police which would want answers to these questions, because this is an explosion which is clearly unprecedented. Police, as you rightly said, has massive experience. 35 years of experience in handling such cases, explosives, IEDs, etc. So what really went wrong last night that led to this massive explosion? I mean, it was unprecedented. The sound was heard across 7-kilometer radius. There was a fireball in the sky, you could easily see from a distance. So this was massive. And police sources say that they are looking within, they're trying to find out what really went wrong, and they're trying to get the pieces together, because the police station, half of which is absolutely smashed, it's razed, and it's razed to the ground, and FSL teams, police investigative teams are on the location, and they're trying to find answers as to what really went wrong. They'll obviously speak to the survivors as well. There are some policemen who have been injured. Their accounts will also be taken. But quite clearly, you have to also understand that these explosives came all the way from Faridabad in a pickup truck. In small packages, they reached Srinagar. Directly, it was taken to the Nowgam police station. Again, it is a police station that is right in middle of a congested locality. So there also...
And it was kept out in the open. Explosives are not kept inside. This is what my sources in the police are telling me, Mir, that all these explosives were kept out in the open. Some sample was being collected. There was a tailor there who was to, wrap it in that gunny sack and then seal it. And that's when the explosion took place. But what I want to understand from you is, also in the investigation, the Maulvi has been arrested. Some doctors have been arrested. What more can you add? Tell us about Dr. Tajammul Malik. And based on speaking to him, I'm told some others were under the scanner. Do we have more details?
Well, yes, Gaurav. In fact, there are many people who have been picked up. You have to understand that this is a big investigation. There are many linkages that are coming up during investigation, during interrogation, questioning of these doctors. So each day, when there is something new that is unearthed, it ensures that there are new raids, new people are under the scanner. Now, there are certain doctors, as you named one, Dr. Tajammul, and there are at least 4 to 5 more. 2 have been picked up from GMC, Anantnag, 1 from Kazigund, 1 from Shop shopian, and they have all been named, or somehow their names have cropped up during investigation, and they are being questioned. Close to 200 to 300 detentions have been done by the Jammu and Kashmir police. Some have been released, against whom there are certain suspicions that are keeping them in police custody and for questioning.
Okay.
Right now, though, the attention has been diverted towards the unfortunate incident in Nowgam, but as sources say that the focus, the center point remains this investigation. And one more important point, Gaurav, that the police is looking beyond this. They're trying to find out whether there could be more such modules. There are searches that are happening in scrap shops, in second-hand car dealers' locations. They're trying to find out whether in the last some time they have those registries. They're telling people to keep a proper CCTV camera setup registry. So they've learned their lessons from this particular incident, and they're trying to ensure that this message spreads, and if at all there are more modules through
I
those
will come
raids,
back to
they
you
get
for more. I want to bring in General Hasnain. General Hasnain, you've commanded a corps in Kashmir. You've interacted extensively with Jammu and Kashmir. It's one of the most professional police forces. Your reading of this explosion from here, sir, accidental explosion, could it be sabotage? Could it be the enemy within?
See, Gaurav, first of all, I have tremendous respect for the Jammu and Kashmir police. There's no doubt about it. A highly professional police force. I virtually act as an ambassador of that force. But having said that, the two incidents, if we take the Red Fort incident also as an accidental blast, and now the second one as an accidental blast, I mean, this becomes too much of a kind of a coincidence. I'm not a bomb expert. I'm not an explosive expert. But this much I know, and we all know in the armed forces, that explosive by itself is as good as talcum powder. But the moment you bring an initiator next to it, a detonator within it, that is the time when it becomes lethal. Because the detonator, it is not the fire which causes the explosion, it is the shock waves. Now, were detonators also placed alongside here? Were detonators also a part of the recovery, which was not looked at perhaps? I don't know, one cannot say this at this time. But obviously a lot of investigation and a lot of footwork will have to go into this. I can quote you one example of what happened earlier in the past of a similar nature. 1993, we had a similar incident in Badami Bagh, where you had a very senior army officer killed when he was inspecting ammunition, weapons, and explosives which had been picked up from hideouts. And a senior officer of the rank of a lieutenant general was killed at that time also. Right? So you must remember that Jammu and Kashmir is a strange place. These kind of coincidences happen. At this moment, there is nothing to point a finger in any way that this is sabotage, and I think the DG police has made that very clear.
He indeed did, and we'll be tracking that story very closely. General Hasnain, for joining me here on this India First special broadcast. Many thanks. Because if something's happening again and again, it could be happenstance once, coincidence the second time, but it's enemy action if it continues to happen. Ian Fleming said it. It's as true of Goldfinger then as it is of India's war on radical Islamist terror today. That is all I have for you on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.